Hi everyone, it's Roger and James here from the What's on Disney Plus podcast. This is episode number 94, and in this episode we're going to be talking everything that's going to be coming to Disney Plus in September. We're going to be talking about the trailers for Becoming Ned and the Right Stuff. We're also going to be talking about adult content and sort of more mature stuff arriving on Disney Plus, and we're going to be sharing our thoughts on the one and only Ivan. But before we get into any of that, just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has recently subscribed on the YouTube channel. And also just a big thank you to all of our patrons as well, who help support the podcast, including Lauren, Jacob, Sarah, Giuseppe, What's on Netflix, Andrew, and also Julie, and also Joshua. Also a big hello to Drew for being a new patron this week. And also, this past week, I have activated YouTube memberships. And basically what's going to happen there, it's going to be the same thing as what we get on Patreon. It's what I'm calling the What's on Disney Plus Club. And you get all the same access. You get sort of behind the scenes stuff. You get a little name at the end of the videos if you are in the $5 and above tier. And also, so I just want to say a big hello first off to Adam for joining us as being the first YouTube member. But also, more importantly, the weekly Q&A show is actually going to be available to everybody, but only patrons and YouTube members will be able to put in their questions. So I thought I'd have a bit of a rejig and stuff as we head into basically fall. But there we go. So just a bit plug for them, and just to let everyone know that that is available. So you can, on either platform, you get the same thing. Right, let's move on. Let's now talk about some Disney Plus stuff. We got the list of everything coming to Disney Plus in the US in September. Now, some of these things might not necessarily turn up in every country, and things are subject to change, and things might be added, and things might not even arrive. So let's jump into the list, because there's quite a lot. Again, everything is arriving on Fridays, which is nice. Actually, except for one thing. Cinderella, which is arriving on a Tuesday, but I don't know what that one is. But let's move on. First off, on Friday, the 4th of September, we have got Mulan, and which is going to be priced at $29.99 if you want to have access to it. The good news is they have just made a deal that if you're using your Roku, Google, or Apple devices, you'll be able to use those devices to make the purchase through the App Store and stuff. They've sorted that out. There's lots of talk going on around about some people maybe misread what they were talking about and think now it's available on Google and iTunes. It's not. It's just going to be, you can pay for it. I just don't think they wanted to go down the Fortnite route this week.
Not a good look. Not just Fortnite, also Project xCloud or whatever the Microsoft thing is, but obviously Fortnite is the big one. And I mean, pay for the service you're using. I don't really get that one. If they're on the platform, they should be paying for it. But that's the full extent of what I'm going to say for it.
Yeah, well, I don't think they obviously don't want to pay that 20-30%, but I think maybe Disney kind of maybe quickly realized that the plan might backfire if Apple get wind of it and kick Disney Plus off. That's not a good look. But generally, this is what's happened with Epic Games. They basically try to circumnavigate Apple's taking a cut, and now there's a big lawsuit and stuff. So that's what that one is. So that's coming on the 4th. They still haven't announced all the UK and European side of this stuff yet. I don't know whether we'll get that soon now that they've sorted out that deal. But moving on from there, we're going to be getting the Wolverine, which is a big title. We're also getting a brand new series, To Ned, which is going to be dropping all 10 episodes all on the same day. Going to be a chat show where you're going to have celebrity guests, including Joshua Bassett, Rachel Bison. You're also going to be getting Gina Carrero, RuPaul, Bindi and Rupert Irwin. I need to get my teeth in this morning. We've also got a whole host of other people like Jenny Slate and Billy D. Williams and Raven. Just loads of people turning up on this show. We might as well talk about it now. You saw the trailer for it. What did you think of it?
I am kind of a little bit mixed on it, honestly. Some of the people that they've got lined up seem interesting enough. It's certainly a wide range of people. But I'm not sure what I think about Ned himself yet. We only saw bits and pieces, so it's not enough to do a proper judgment on. Obviously, we'll need to see the show. But the bits we saw of Ned himself, he's really well, what's the appropriate term, puppeteered, controlled, I don't know. puppeteered. I'm just going to use that even if it's not a word. He's got a lot of range of motion. You can definitely tell the Hensons have stepped up their game since the last time we saw them, which would actually be this past week with the Muppets now. But the actual voice and the personality they gave him, I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see it in full before I judge. But right now, I'm kind of a little bit. I'm not too keen on it just yet.
Yeah, it's kind of going to be for me. It's like the guest list is a little bit all over the place. It's like people, about half of them I've never heard of, and the other half are like, okay, we are kind of. I wouldn't say going to the bottom of the barrel, but there's not. I wouldn't really say there was a lot of like heavy hitters there. It's like RuPaul and maybe Gina Carrera were like the only ones that really kind of stood out as names I recognized.
Billy D. Williams, I'd also consider. Going Lando. It's nice to see the Irwin siblings in there as well. I honestly don't know much about them. You get bits and pieces of news for them, but they don't have that big flashy personality like their father did. So that one at least has potential to learn.
Well, I'll be honest. I have been watching Crikey, It's the Irwins on Discovery the last few weeks. It's coming out of it.
That was a thing.
Yeah, Robert. Because now Robert's like 16, he's now can do stuff a bit more easily. Bindy's been doing lots of TV shows before that. So, obviously they're a bit different to Steve because I used to love watching that show. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this has worked. I'm kind of like, okay. I still don't get the drop of the 10 episodes at once. This does not feel like a show that benefits from this at all. That's going to be like, watch 2-3 episodes, get bored of and don't go in. 10 episodes would have seen us right through till November. I really question these drops on some of these shows like this. Maybe they just want to carry on with the system, but nevertheless, for me, I wasn't really that excited by the trailer. It didn't really do much for me. It's a lot of the kind of thing is, I'll watch the first episode or two, and we'll see go from there. It's a bit of a strange one. I'm
in the same. I'm going to pick the episodes I watch based on who the guest stars are on that one.
Yeah. Then we're going to be getting on the same day a new episode of Weird But True, where they're going to be looking at germs, which I think we definitely need to watch about. Also, National Geographic are going to have a new show about viruses and stuff, so that would be cool to see when that eventually arrives. The finale of Pixar in Real Life, which is going to be focused on Coco. So that should be fun. And then the finale of Muppets Now Socialized. I'll be honest, I've since the second episode, I haven't watched any more of that series. It didn't really fully capture me to keep going.
Sorry, which one was that?
The Muppets.
I have watched all 4 of them, the ones that are released so far. The 4th one, you're not missing anything. It's definitely the low point of the series so far. And there's definitely, at this point, that fatigue of you keep doing the same bits over and over again. They need a larger array. That said, episode 3, for whatever reason, I really loved that episode. I don't even remember who they had on for it, but for the chef one. But I was rolling for the chef in number 3. That was great.
Yeah, I'll be honest. To be honest, I have been kind of binging the Once Upon a Time season, so that's why I've not been watched. I've been watching lots of Disney Plus. It's just I've plowed for about 14-15 episodes of Once Upon a Time. So.
Well, let's hold off on Once Upon a Time because I think that's coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up later. Then we're going to be getting Ancient China from Above. Then there's going to be a couple of them coming up. Then we're going to get D2 and D3, The Mighty Ducks, Never Been Kissed, and Strange Magic. I want to put all them together. Looks like they've done something kind of. They've all been on Disney Plus. Some of them have got taken off, but it looks like again some deals have been done to bring them on a little bit earlier. So that's good. Trick or Treat, which is a short from 1950s, and then a new One Day at Disney. So that's the Friday the 4th. Kind of quite a few movies there when you include all like the Mighty Ducks, and so that's not a bad week at all. Moving on from there, Friday the 11th of September, we've got Christopher Robin, and then we've got Weird But True episode about photography, and then a One Day at Disney short. Now that day is really, really thin. I mean, for internationally, I do know internationally in the UK we're getting Spies in Disguise on that day, so that's not such a bad thing for us. But we've already got Christopher Robin. But a lot of people saying how weak that day looks. That looks.
I have to agree with the general consensus. It would help a lot if we got Spies in Disguise over here. I'm sure that there's all sorts of marketing deals that prevent that. I don't even know if I've seen Christopher Robin. I remember when it came out, and I feel like I saw it, but I might be mistaking it for something else. I will probably be checking it out that week, but if it came out with other stuff that week, it probably would be pushed to the back a bit.
So I'm going to say this. This is a really good movie. This is a really funny, heartwarming movie. I remember we watched it, I think it was last year, we rented it, and absolutely loved it, because they are the Winnie the Pooh and all the rest of it. They are, but because they're in real life, it just felt completely lovely. It's just a really good movie, and I think a lot of people slept on this one, and I'm really happy that a lot more people will have. I know it's been on Netflix up till now, but yeah, definitely a good movie.
I think I was planning on watching it with my mom, because it came out like near Thanksgiving or something along those a family holiday.
I think it was a summer.
Maybe it was, but I wanted to watch it with my mom because Winnie the Pooh is very much a family thing for us and my family specifically, not America in this case. And I guess we never got the chance to watch it together, so I just never did. But yeah, I remember hearing very good things. This one has what, Ewan McGregor in it as the writer, as Christopher Robin himself, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so so that's good. So then on Friday the 18th, we got a brand new series called Becoming, which is an uplifting tale of origin stories of 10 talented athletes, entertainers, and musicians, including Adam Devine. We've also got Anthony Davis, Ashley Tisdale, Caleb McLaughlin, Candace Parker, Kobe Callett, Julianne Hu, Nick Cannon, Nick Troll, and Rob Grozetsky. Now, all 10 episodes are going to be dropping at the same time. It's a documentary style, shot in some kind of French word variety. Each episode centers around a visit to their celebrity hometown, where they go to important locations in the upbringing, and we meet their supporting cast of family members, coaches, teachers, mentors, and friends, and they share anecdotes and insights into them becoming who they are. Again, all 10 episodes dropping at the same time. I thought we were done with this in August. It looked like we were dropping this, and then back in September, we've gone back into it. I'll be honest, I had only heard of Ashley Tisdale because of, was it High School Musical, and Adam because of Magic Camp last week. And Rob Grozetsky because he was in a part of WWE and I didn't know who he was then. So I'm literally looking at these people and I'm going, yep, whoever they are, I'm sure it's nice.
This is definitely a very American-centric list. Rob Gronkowski is pretty famous in the States. He's part of a pair of players who've been very prominent in football for the last decade. I don't know actually how long Gronkowski has been, but he worked with Tom Brady, who is one of the most infamous football players of the more recent years for both good and bad reasons. Largely depends on whether you're in the New England area or not. I'm not, so you can kind of figure out, you out there can kind of figure out my general consensus on that one. Also, I don't really care about football, so. But yeah,
go sports. Other than WWE, literally, I'd never heard of Rob until then, and I'm like, he's hosting WWE WrestleMania. Who is he? Never heard of him. But yeah, so that's that for Becoming. I think Julia Horn, or how she did some Dancing with the Stars stuff. She doesn't do the Strictly Come Dancing over here, so I don't know who she is. Yeah, so yeah, to be honest, a very list of a TV series. I don't know 8 out of 10 of you. So that's kind of it's not a great start for me. I'll be honest. It was just like I was like, I don't know who you are, so I'm not really interested in who you became, because
and even I know more than just that, but most of these aren't really in my field. That said, it is a very wide spectrum of people that they're getting here, so I think there's a decent chance that most people will find at least one episode involving a person they want to know more about.
Now the thing is, I probably would have watched that Adam, the one that was in Magic Camp, because I thought, oh, well, he seemed alright. I've never, other than seeing him in like I think it was Pitch Perfect, never really sort of seen him in anything. And then we ended up watching Shark Week with him and the guy from Blackish, and also two other American guys. And I'm like, he's just awful in it. I think it's put me off watching it.
I have to admit, I have not watched Shark Week in a long time. I just feel that their programming has gone downhill since I was a kid. Maybe it's nostalgia kind of tinting my memories of Shark Week, but the more recent years haven't been so I haven't seen him on Shark Week. I'll have to take your word on that one.
Yeah, but nevertheless, so that's becoming. So I'll be honest, really didn't sell it on to me, because I mean the trailer looked nice and it's all very nicely shot, but a very weak celebrity lineup, because that just does not translate well internationally. It's just a really I mean, I'm sure people might know some of them, but yeah, when you, I mean, I generally kind of keep up with a little bit of celebrity news, but when I'm going, your average Brit probably is not going to know who these people are.
Now, this is definitely an American-centric show. Nothing inherently wrong with that. Of course, a lot of the audience is American. I suspect we will see less and less American-centric shows as we go on. This is probably a holdover from something they were going to do on the Disney Channel specifically, and just kind of moved it over here.
Well, I think it was made by...
not the Disney Channel. The Fox Channel.
I think it's been around for a while, because I think LeBron's that basketball player. Let's see, that's how much I know about sports. I think he's behind the series and stuff. I don't know. It's like I said, it's a very... I think Disney have to be a lot more better at doing this, because, with Disney Plus being so international and this kind of launching all these different areas, these kind of shows don't make... I mean, it'll be interesting when they get the data come through. I go, okay, we need to be a little bit more open to, or I don't know, just they've got to watch the middle of stuff a little bit more.
See, so I would take a slightly different approach with it. I think it's perfectly fine for them to do American-centric stuff. They should also have English-centric stuff, Indian-centric stuff, launch them globally, but with the understanding that, normal audience, isn't it? But have stuff for everybody. And it's perfectly fine to do exclusives so long as everyone has.
Yeah, I just feel like it's that kind of situation of they needed a little bit bigger celebrities. Maybe might have helped if they pay.
That's a different issue.
That probably would have been a slightly better version. But nevertheless, moving on from there,
just be ready for the football fans to not be happy with your assessment of Rob Gronkowski's celebrity status. Just a heads up.
As far as I've managed to get through all this without really knowing very little about English football in my life, so I'll be all right. Going on from there, on Friday the 18th, we've got a new episode of Weird But True, which is about trains. Then we got a new One Day at Disney short. Then we've got Bend It Like Beckham, which now I'm going to say this is a Fox Searchlight movie. Now, the only one I'm going to bring up with this is it was included in the email version that was sent by Disney. However, on the official website, it wasn't listed. So this now has put that thing of like, there's that seed of like, have they just missed it off to you? But it was on an official list I was sent. So if that one doesn't turn up, that one might be why. I don't know why. I think that was a good movie, but I haven't seen that one in years.
I just remember it was super popular back when it came out. Maybe it was just the timing. It came out in like 2002, and a lot of America was still kind of recovering from 9/11, and it was just a feel-good movie at the right time.
I also think it was just that thing of having sort of Keira Knightley. She was just at that thing of with Pirates of the Caribbean and Love Actually, just right at that point where she was like super popular. And also the other actress, she went into ER, and I remember watching her in that for years. Moving on from there, then we got Oil Spill of the Century. I'll be honest, I could find very little information on that one. And India from Above. This was something that's literally just arrived on Nat Geo. That's going to be the 2 episodes will be arriving that day. I like those ones. The Japan one was really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Coop and Cammy Asked the World Season 2. So the second season is just ending this month on the Disney Channel. So now it's heading straight over to Disney Plus. And then we're going to get Europe from Above, Season 1. Ever After, A Cinderella Story. Kingdom of the Mummies, Season 1. And then we're going to get Marvel Superhero Adventures, Season 4. Notre Dame, Race Against the Inferno. And then the big one, Once Upon a Time, Seasons 1 through 7. That will be driving in the US. I've also had confirmation as well. It will be arriving in Australia in September. And also the UK will also be getting the other 3 seasons at the beginning of September. So we'll have all 7 seasons. No word yet on what they're going to do with that Alice in Wonderland sort of spin-off show. But Once Upon a Time, a big TV show. A lot of people interested in it. I myself have been kind of waiting for this because my wife ran on and did all 7 seasons and was like, oh, did you want to watch that? Yeah, well, I'm on to season 2 now. Oh, okay, right. I'll catch up. It's that kind of thing. When it's a 7-season show with probably, 150 seasons, that's a lot to catch up on if you're behind. And then at which point you're like, oh, I'll get around to it.
Yeah, and they're not short seasons. I think they were 24 episodes each, 40 to 44 minute long episodes in general. I intend to watch it. I watched most of them. It was a show that I kind of picked up and dropped and picked up and dropped and picked up and dropped. So I've got large gaps in it, but I do want to watch through it. From what I remember, we're not missing anything by not having the Alice in Wonderland episodes. It'd be nice to have it as complete, but
the only reason I say that was because we were out in Walt Disney World when it came on TV, and the buses were full of the advertising, and we watched the first episode on American television. So that was the only reason I was really aware of it, to be honest, was because of the synergy that Disney have when you go to the parks. Just how it works.
It's funny you say the synergy because obviously it's been a while since I've been to the parks, but I always remember that they're very good about putting banners up on time. They're very bad about taking the banners down after. So I remember going to the park in 2018 or something, and they still had some Disney Infinity banners up.
I was just about to say that.
And they had some Once Upon a Time banners up that still had the cast from the original cast rather than the new cast from season 7. And this was after season 7 had finished. It was maybe update these a little bit.
Yeah, but it's just one of, I do remember walking into Disneyland Paris going, they've still got Disney Infinity posters up. Well, it's done. But nevertheless, so Once Upon a Time, a massive series. That one's going to be this is a binge-worthy mainstream show. It's been on Netflix for years, but this is what we need. This is exactly what Disney Plus needs. It's a perfect fit. We've been talking about that show because it was way back last year. They showed it on the Investors event and said it would be coming. It's taken a long time. So from there, we got 2 seasons of Soya Luna and also the 3rd season of Violeta. I think they're also going to be coming internationally as well. Season 9 of Wicked Tuna. I've only watched 1 episode. That's on my kind of watch list for Wicked Tuna. They keep dropping on there. Again, for me, these kind of shows are stuff that I'm more interested. I'm much more likely to watch Wicked Tuna than Violeta, but that's just me personally.
And apparently, much unlike many people who are far more interested in the Disney Channel shows than in the National Geographics, which is too bad, but it's there for everybody.
It's a very weird thing, I think, as well. Different audiences go for different stuff, and I think generally, the young, it's going to be that big difference, especially over here when the Disney Channel shuts down soon. I think it might even be the end of next month. That's going to start having a big impact on how quickly we get stuff. Because, for example, in Australia, they're getting things much quicker than we are. Then moving on to Friday, the 25th of September, we're going to be getting Secret Society of the Second Born Royals, which is a brand new movie. It's supposed to come in July. They pushed it back a little bit. It's basically a cross between, Avengers and Descendants and everything just all in one. They're all they're all basically spare parts for the king and queens. and they've all got superpowers to protect them, and so they're more important than the actual kings and queens.
I was kind of picturing it as like a Kingsman meets X-Men kind of thing, because you've also got the X-Men like outcast thing going on. I have moderate hopes for this one. Should be entertaining.
I'm going in this one going okay, let's see see what this Disney Channel, because Disney Channel movies generally always a kind of thing of like, okay, let's see how this goes. So I'm looking forward to that one, and then we're going to be getting Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom. Now we don't yet know if this one is going to be weekly, or if this one's going to be dropping all at once. I'm hoping weekly. I have asked for clarification, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. So that one's one I'm definitely looking forward to. And then we got Weird But True Venomous Animals. And then Disney Nature's Oceans. This one's been, I think, stuck on Netflix for a while. Right, here we go. When I tried doing this video, I needed a few takes for this one. Fancy Nancy, Fancy It Yourself, Season 2.
I noticed there's a lack of a description of this one as well.
Yeah, I couldn't find. This is kind of like the shorts, because the full seasons are on Netflix. It's kind of like and then the other one was The Giant Robber Crab. I trying to find any information on what this thing was. I don't know if it's a National Geographic short or if it's a Disney short from years ago. Whatever I was getting on Google was not telling me what it was. So I don't know what that one is.
It sounds like it should be a National Geographic's, but
yeah,
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Wasn't coming up anyway. And then we get the second season of Gordon Ramsay Uncharted. Which I still have a bit. I do want to watch that one. Muppet Babies Season 2. That's the new version, not the old version. Port Alaska Season 3. Port Protection Alaska. Then second season of Sydney to the Max. That one is just ending on Disney Channel this month, so therefore that's why that one's dropping over. Then Wild Central America Season 1. And then X-Ray Earth Season 1. Followed shortly by a One Day at Disney short. So there we go. That is September's lineup. What sort of stood out to you from that lot?
A number of movies that I'm kind of interested in checking out. We just mentioned The Secret Society. Not a movie, but Once Upon a Time, definitely looking to get back into that. Vaguely interested in watching Cinderella again. I remember watching that one in theaters. This is the remake, not Ever After, which I've never seen. Maybe I vaguely remember that one having good reviews, but it might be fun to see Cinderella, because that was kind of where they started the live action remakes. I mean, I know they've done one before, like 101 Dalmatians when I was growing up and things like that, but Cinderella was really kind of what started the movement. And we had Jungle Book and Aladdin and all that, but yeah.
I mean, for me, Mulan obviously stands out the most as being something that I really want, because this is a movie I've been wanting to watch since back in sort of March time. This was the one live action movie that stood out to me of like, wow, because had this not even been a live action, not even a remake, this was the kind of movie I would have wanted to watch anyway, because I love big Chinese epics and the way the battles look. It just screams to me, this is a movie I would want to watch. This is just the way it's shot and how it looks of her going into battle. It just gives me all the vibes of something that I'd want to watch. So I'm going to be watching that one for sure. Still not 100% convinced the 29. We haven't got the UK price yet, but I'm still not entirely convinced that the price is right. But it's a movie that I would like to watch, and I would have paid to get. It would have cost me 10 quid to go to cinema. By the time I pay for parking and gone in. So I'm kind of going with that, and if my wife watches it as well, then therefore it'll work out about even. Though I do think, I'll be honest, if I wasn't running the website and doing all this, I don't know if I probably would have been in a rush to have watched it. But I feel like I've been starved for movies, but nevertheless. So that's kind of definitely stands out. Once Upon a Time is something I'm still going to be watching, and obviously for us internationally, Spies in Disguise will be something I'm looking forward to watching. Unfortunately, you guys have got that HBO deal, until they can get out of that one. But so there we go. That was September. Moving on from there, let's talk about the other big trailer that dropped this week, which was The Right Stuff, which is going to be dropping 2 episodes on October the 9th, and that will be a weekly drop. So that'll go right through into November. So I'm going to just throw this one straight. What did you think of that trailer?
I thought it was a decent enough trailer. It showed that it's different enough from the movie that I'm not too concerned with it just being a retread. That said, there are a couple of shots that I was like, oh, that's definitely a movie shot right there. But for the most part, they're taking a different angle with it. They're going at the competition angle rather than at the all these people are completely crazy and possibly a little suicidal. Yeah, it looks different enough that I can hopefully separate the two in my head, which is the biggest challenge that's going to be facing me personally.
Yeah, because I've not seen the original one. To me, it's all fresh. I watched this trailer and then kind of got to the end and went, yes, finally some a drama series on Disney Plus, a proper drama series that we need, and I'm saying this, so I'm not even counting The Mandalorian in this. This is like the first proper TV series. This is something that I put the trailer on because I was like, okay, let's just see. I got home from work and I put it on the big screen and my wife goes, what? I said, can we just watch the trailer for this? Like, they're talking about something boring on the news. Let's just put the trailer on. I want to watch this. So it starts up and she goes, oh, that looks good. It's like, okay, so that's a good sign, because it's like, it did not look like a Disney Plus quality show that we've been getting over the last 9 months. This just looks, I mean, I didn't quite, it is also Warner Brothers also, I think, helped make it, and a few of it. This feels like a show that, I know they moved it from National Geographic over to Disney, but this is what Disney Plus needs more of. It needs some more mainstream drama. This is, you just sat there watching on, this is a show that I want to watch. I'd have watched this on any platform. This could have been on Apple TV Plus, this could have been on Netflix or whatever. This would have been a show I'd have watched regardless, because it just looks interesting. And especially right now, of just like a drama series that's offering something a bit different is exactly what I want. Because we're starting to get a little bit starved of decent content, and this was just jumped out to me like, this just looks so good. This just looks so different. It's something fresh in terms of going back and doing, because we get a lot of space stuff, but kind of it drips in and out and depends on it. But this just looked great, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm glad they're going with a weekly drop. I'm also glad they're giving us 2 episodes to kind of give us that kind of, jump onto the next one. The fact they got faith of putting it out there and saying it's not coming for what, another 7-8 weeks. But obviously everybody's annual subscriptions are going to start running out in November, so they've got to start kind of bulking up at this end of the year. For me, this was a home run, using a sports term that I'm aware of.
Nice football term. I like your inclusion of football in here. I also wanted to add on to that. One of the things that I was worried about with this was that the special effects were going to kind of fall down, because you're going to need a number of special effects shots for, launching rockets, having the guys in space, all that stuff. And at least from what we saw in the trailer, it's not going to win an Academy Award for special effects, but it puts you into the time properly. Like, there's that shot, you're looking over the astronaut's shoulder and up into the Redstone rocket, which is, it's got steam coming off of it and all that. And you look at it and you're like, yeah, I believe there is a guy standing in front of a Redstone rocket with the scaffolding and everything built around it, which is what they needed to do. The movie had fantastic special effects for the time. It was all practical effects, of course. This was pre-CGI. But yeah, if you'd come out there and, the F-104 is flying over or the rocket looked ridiculous, you'd be like, nope. But they did a good job with that, which was one of my biggest fears.
I'm just really looking forward to this kind of like this full season, because I'm thinking like by the time we've got Mandalorian season 2 and we've got the right stuff, and hopefully as well we've got things like High School Musical season 2 and maybe WandaVision or Falcon at some point at the late end of 2020. We're starting to get in that thing of like, okay, we're starting to get some proper, we're not having days of go, we got one day at Disney. It's just like, so I'm really looking, right stuff for me was bang on what we need. And I think that's going to nicely tie into our next topic. The idea of more adult, and I'm going to say mainstream content arriving on Disney Plus, because the number of people have been reporting, including Grace Randolph, also in the digital bits, talking about how Disney Plus are going to add a section for 20th Century Studios Touchstone and start adding more adult content. And and there was this kind of weird thing of like, and I did do an article, and I even did like a 10-minute video earlier in the week about this whole thing. And I don't want to bring this up again because I don't know if if this is Star, this is the idea of what Disney are going to do internationally of basically building a brand new streaming platform with 20th Century Studios, Freeform, ABC, Touchstone, and putting them and FX and putting them all within Disney Plus at an additional charge because they're not launching Hulu internationally. They don't want to get that out there. They're just going to go with this streaming thing. They're going to be building it upon Disney Plus, integrating it with Disney Plus, bringing it in, basically turning it into like Disney Plus Hotstar internationally, and they're going to be announcing more in the coming months ahead. The trouble is, I think this is then kind of set off signals that people aren't, that maybe the minute internationally is announced, some people turn off because it makes no sense at all for them to add more adult content on there in the, the more mature stuff if they're going to launch Star. However, there is a counter argument, and you can definitely tell this in the last 2 to 3 months. Disney are aware that they do need more mainstream stuff on Disney Plus. So I think we are going to start seeing more. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do see a 20th Century Studios, because now they seem to be a bit more committed to the name, and a Touchstone, and they could all be in there, and anything under a certain bracket falls into it. And I think we are going to see more mainstream content on Disney Plus as we go forward. But Alien and Predator and Die Hard and Deadpool, that's more likely to be locked away behind Star. International, and in the US, you've got the problem with Hulu. And until Disney have completed their purchase of Comcast's stake, Hulu right now just seems to be floating along. I don't know, we'll find out what's going on with that. But Hulu, they don't want to launch internationally because there's no point. They're going all in on Star, and Star's not a big enough brand name anyway because it's only really well known in India. But this is their way of offering it and building up the money. And there's this whole line of like Disney are going to add more adult content. You can see that with The Right Stuff and Hamilton and things like that. But there's this like line of I think they are going to be adding a lot more stuff to get more mainstream people in. But there's also going to be this whole other layer of Star, which changes everything.
Yeah, and it's really hard to talk about too, because you get people who are like, no, Disney is Mickey Mouse and that level only. And then there are other people who you say, we want more mature content. They're just like, wait, you want blood and guts and other mature content, like that level mature? Like, no, that's not what we mean. We mean stuff targeted towards adult. Because you can have shows that are deep and thought-provoking and have good acting and cover topics that adults want to, without cursing, without blood and guts, without violence at every step. And it's weird because we just don't have the language to talk about it properly. It's weird.
That's why I keep trying to refer to it as mainstream rather than, because the minute you say adult, everyone goes to like R-rated and TVM and TV 17, and it's like, no, but there's a massive gap in between of like, if I use our TV, for example, over here, we have a pre-watershed of 9 o'clock. So up till 9 o'clock, you can't do certain things and say certain things. After 9 o'clock, you can. And generally 9 to 10 o'clock is mainstream. And then you get like shows, obviously, between 6 and 9. You get things like, I would grow up, you would have things like The Simpsons. You'd have Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You'd have... I don't know, you just have all these kind of shows that would be on like maybe 8 o'clock, things like Doctor Who, Robin Hood. You'd have all these kind of shows, and they would appeal to everybody. This is where the whole family could sit down and watch them safely, knowing that there would be no swearing, but they could still at least push the envelope and still entertain. And obviously from 9 o'clock onwards, things would change. But generally, even that wouldn't be sort of the stuff that you see on FX generally would come like 10, 11, 12, much later than the 9 o'clock version. And I think Disney Plus went way too safe. And there is a whole audience of people that just want Disney Plus to be the babysitting service. They don't want anything out there that their little kid doesn't want to. And it's like, that's not going to survive. You know, you got 60. You're trying to please 60 million people now. It's not a babysitting service. It's too big. It's I think Disney want to be more than that. They don't want to just be Mickey Mouse and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse on repeat for the they were making all this extra content. It's like you look at what they're putting out on a weekly basis in terms of TV with all their platforms. How much of it is Puppy Dog Pals and Mickey? Only a small fraction of it. They know that's not where the money is.
Yeah, and it's very obvious when you look at the Disney Plus what's popular right now banner, or they send out the email every week with, check out the trending shows, and obviously you do the post as well. That it's not dominated by Muppet Babies. It's not dominated by Mickey's Clubhouse. I think that one's in like number 4, but I think that's just on repeat. Right. Sorry, what I mean is. It's like the only one there. It's not Mickey's Clubhouse, Mickey's Racers, Mickey's Little, whatever, Muppet Babies, etc. No, right now it's more stuff like, I keep wanting to say Hannibal, but I mean Hamilton. Yeah. Sorry. My tongue's all screwed up right now.
Yeah, you gotta get like I said, there's a bit more variety, and Disney need this as they are launching more and more internationally. This whole idea of, and I think the whole adults portion of things, they need to clear this out. Hopefully when we get the investors call, they'll clear up what Star is and where the boundary is and what that comes into. Because as far as putting like a 20th Century Studios brand in there, if you had that icon, you can have that as a strolling icon and you could put more brands on it. Disney have been very clear of what it is. So I think if Star comes in with the other 5 brands, it becomes much easier. However, when you got things like The Simpsons and The Greatest Showman and, X-Men and stuff, where does that fall into? They're gonna have to have those sections available. I think they do seem to be a little bit more happy now. They've kind of sorted out what they're doing with 20th Century Studios. They've now obviously rebranded all the TV networks. I mean, we've got FX, Touchstone. They kind of reorganize what they're doing in terms of how they're making stuff. And yeah, I just think we are going to see more mainstream content arrive on Disney Plus. You can see that with this whole movie drop thing that they've been doing this summer. This whole summer, Disney Plus feels like it's allowed to be maybe a slightly teenage. They have been much more open to putting more things like Hamilton, Black is King. They've pushed that boundary a little bit more of what they're putting on there. Even just Once Upon a Time, there's a little bit of cursing. I mean, it's all about cursing, but generally, there's a little bit
that
more
kind
in
of
there.
cursing.
No, but generally, they don't. We've been talking about this for years, and a lot of people are like saying, no, I don't want it on there. It's like, if it's a paid add-on, and a lot of people, I don't want to pay any more money. Disney are not going to give you the entire content of everything else they've got internationally for the same price as Disney. Disney Plus is way too cheap for that. And I keep saying this, Disney Plus is about to become a gateway. You're going to have your main app, then you're going to have your premium access, and then you're going to have this add-on with extra content. And they're going to build up Disney Plus from within, because they've got their window in, and I think that's how they're going to start doing it, because Disney Plus is a huge success and it's working. And internationally, you can see this already with how they're planning out the rollout. Makes no, Hulu is almost like this thing that they've inherited, and it's just losing money. They've got all these third-party contents. I mean, even like we joked before this, they've got a new Madagascar series coming. Well, they got to share it with Peacock. It's like things like that are just like, they're stuck into contracts with NBC. They're stuck into contracts with other companies. And so therefore, Hulu's this weird thing. Like there's no point in sharing it internationally because it doesn't know where it wants to be.
Yeah, and dropping back to Disney Plus, I think for the people who still just want it as a babysitting service, I think Disney just needs to make the parental controls a little more obvious and a little easier to use. And that way you can just say, all right, here's the kid's profile. The profile's loaded up on our Fire tablet or whatever TV the kid uses. And they are restricted only to stuff that's G or PG or whatever you want.
They've got that already, and it's kind of funny because I've had messages, people saying, I can't watch Mulan on the kids program. Why not? I was like, well, because it's a PG. So therefore, it wouldn't block it out. I do think they need to redefine what they've got and work out where they, work out better controls. The only thing they can do is essentially they have to put the PIN code system in and then let the parent then unlock it. It's the only, and then from that point on, they can say, well, you unlocked it. You are in charge of your account. Because up to now, there's really no point almost having separate accounts for except one up for my wife. It's like, there's just no point. There's no real difference in it. It's not like Netflix where it does actually change a lot. Because we do that with Netflix. We flick between accounts just to see something different because our viewing habits will show us completely different. Disney Plus you watch, Black is King, and then the next thing it recommends is Puppy Dog Pals. It's like there's no kind of connection there at all. But I do think, moving on, we are going to start seeing more mainstream stuff arriving on Disney Plus. The Right Stuff is a prime example of that kind of content. And as far as all of it, I think Disney are holding stuff back for Star, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's some Hulu integration to get around it in the US. They might start offering the 20th Century Studio content within Disney Plus if you've got Hulu. That could be a way around the platform. If they can integrate the technology enough, and start doing it that way, and kind of, I don't know, it's gonna. I wouldn't even surprise me if they just launched Star internationally and would look in the US as well and go, well, you've got Hulu. Yeah, but that's different.
Just as long as they don't overcomplicate it. That's the big thing. Like you were saying before, there are people who turned on parental controls and then didn't realize the parental controls were going to block them out from seeing Mulan or Hamilton or something like that. And that covers more of the base than you would think it would.
Yeah.
So it needs to be transparent, not just them communicating stuff, but the app. You need to be able to go, there needs to be a little thing like this is what you have enabled. That means you can't see certain content. And it needs to be basically push button. Like you said, a passcode or some sort of two-factor authentication, sure. But being able to switch between them is very important.
I mean, we recently had Sky Q installed, and we were trying to turn off. I was trying to turn off the adult thing because there's nothing more annoying. And on your day off, you fire up a TV show and ask for the PIN code, and we go, "Why do we need parental?" It's like it's 2:00 in the afternoon, and I want to watch, some show off of FX or something like that. And it's like, I mean, I did literally change them all to noughts just because I didn't have to remember what the PIN code was for the TV. Because it's like, well, I'm not. It doesn't matter. We're not in that situation where we have to worry about it, so it's fine. But I think the thing is going forward. A lot of people do look at Disney, and I see it in the comments all the time of people going, "It's Disney, and it's Disney. It should be safe. It's, it's not frowned." It's like, and then the first thing a lot of people then will bite back with is the quote from Disney saying, "If you aim for kids, you're dead." And I mean, that's and that's the thing. That's a quote from Walt Disney himself, that he did not aim his movies and his shows at kids because that doesn't work. You have to aim at the adults, and I think that's just moving forward. With new leadership at Disney and Disney Plus and all the rest of it, I think we're seeing it already. You can sense the difference between now and, remember back in February, March, when all we were running was stories of stuff that were being moved away because Disney were almost terrified of putting anything past a G on there.
It's also worth remembering farther back than that, that was Pixar's philosophy as well. We make kids movies, but there has to be something for the adult. And way back in the day, that is what separated Pixar from DreamWorks movies, which normally did not have content for adults in them. And as a parent or someone taking a kid to a theater, you're just like, I have to sit through 2 hours of this inane nonsense. Whereas if you went to a Pixar movie, it's like, yeah, there's things in there for me too. I will be entertained through this.
Yeah, but we're going to have to wait and see. We don't know when the investors event is happening, but I just wanted to put it out there. There is obviously a lot of talk about this content, but just be aware of what Star, I know a lot of people are, and I did actually even have to put up in the Facebook group, underneath, please do not just say this is what Hulu's for, because it's like the go-to response from people are going, yeah, but that doesn't apply to now 50-60% of the Disney Plus audience now. It's not just Hulu is not the answer, because it's, as far as I mean, there was a great article even on the USA Today about the fact that Disney are shoving Hulu off to the side. they're just not. It's not prior. And it's like when you got like big websites like USA Today doing stories about like Hulu like that, it's not good. So let's move on now to the last topic for the day, which is our thoughts on the one and only Ivan, which dropped yesterday. My review went up on Tuesday. I watched this on my day off on Monday. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it. It's good popcorn fluff. It's not a very deep movie, but it's got all the happy beats that you want. It went in directions I was not expecting, actually. They had a lot of kind of false plot points, but not like gotcha moments. They work into the plot well enough. I would have liked something a little bit deeper, maybe a little more thought-provoking, but you know what? It worked fine as a feel-good fluff movie.
It was one of those things that sort of watching it and going, okay, this is good. And there had a few little places where it went off a bit different side. But I was like, I kind of got to the end of it and went, oh, that was refreshing to actually sit there and not be a Disney Plus original quality of just like, I sat there and I watched the whole thing, wasn't interested in, didn't pick up your phone, just watched it, 90 minutes, done, dusted. I thought it was a lovely tale. I thought it was very well done. I don't know, like with this movie of like, what would it have done had it gone to cinemas? Because I really don't know how that would have. I really don't know if that would have actually performed that well. They had some big names and the CGI was all good and all the rest of it, but this felt like a movie of going, yeah, this really could. Maybe if it didn't have like Angelina Jolie and Helen Mirren, you could have done this probably with a cheaper cast. And it probably would have, sort of looking at this, I don't know if this would work. I don't know if it would work in cinemas going forward. This was a perfect Disney Plus movie. It felt exactly right. It was interesting as well. Like I flicked on the One Show last night and you had, Bill, it's like, oh, we're getting mainstream 7:00 BBC promotion of Disney Plus tonight. That's different. Because they're treating it like a proper movie. And it's like, yeah, this is what Disney Plus needs. And then you throw it going, well, what are they doing with Mulan? But then it's like, no one would pay 30 quid for this. This just wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't have. And I think if it had gone to theaters, they would have been lucky to make their money back, honestly. Yeah. Not because of the quality of the film, but just as we've seen repeatedly, when they try something new, when they try something different, especially if it is not like an exceptional movie, it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Mm-hmm. If it's not Avengers, Black Widow, Mulan, a big name title, they kind of float. No matter how much people complain and like, show us original content, give us new movies, new stories, and they just don't go and see them, unfortunately. So putting this on Disney Plus makes it accessible. It's right there. It's waiting for you. You don't even have to leave your couch to go and watch it. Just go into it with the right expectations. You're not going to have, a big epiphany moment. It's not going to give you any deep insight into the plight of animals in captivity or in performance or whatever. No, it's just happy, feel good. There's not even a character in it who you're like, that's the bad guy. There's no Free Willy character where you're like, oh, we have to get Ivan away from that character. Other than that one dog that Bryan Cranston's character really doesn't like, the one that keeps sneaking in. Oh. There's never any point where like, oh yeah, Bryan Cranston, that dude, he's playing another evil character. No, he genuinely cares about the animals. And you do kind of have to go with the fact that the story is set in like what, 1970s, 1980s, something like that, where the care for animals wasn't at the level it is now. Which is very unfortunate. And I definitely spent part of the movie going like, that enclosure for the elephant really needs to be a lot bigger. But you just kind of have to go, that's part of the time period.
I don't know if they necessarily framed that well enough that it was kind of in the past, because it kind of didn't look it. So they did a bit with his hairstyle. In the 70s bit was much easier to tell when they did the montage. But I thought as a whole, I think the only basic thing is had they not had a mobile phone, but it just generally but it was like you say, he was never a bad guy. Obviously he was upset and stuff, but he cared for them. He loved them. All the carers and everyone. I mean, even now, what got me was when they all escaped. I'm going, okay, now we're going to get into like the
Homeward
adventure,
Bound.
the adventure part of the movie, and that didn't happen. It's like, no, they crossed the street and realized they couldn't go anywhere. It was just like, and I just thought that I actually thought, oh, that was refreshing, because it wasn't just them escaping. It's like, well, where are they going to escape to? It's like, yeah, they couldn't. There was no, reality wasn't going to work like that. I suspect in real life the gorilla actually never left. They never did that bit. I bet that's the bit that they kind of made up to make a little bit better.
I would definitely treat this as an inspired by story, not a factual or near factual accounting. I did a little bit of reading on the actual Ivan, and yeah, basically none of this story applies at all. There was a gorilla named Ivan, and he was a painter, and he gained some fame as a painter, but pretty much all the rest of it is completely fiction. Which is probably for the best, because if they had gone with a realistic one, it would have been a bit more depressing. I was mentioning the elephant enclosure there, the actual pen that the real Ivan was kept in. You shouldn't keep a gorilla in that pen at all. Yeah. Of course, it does have the same happy ending where he ends up in a zoo where he's allowed to roam free and actually experience a bit of what it's like. Obviously, they couldn't release him into the wild.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, because I thought that as well, of like, they showed him in this massive zoo. Now I've never been to. I think it's a zoo in Atlanta. And I'll be honest, I looked at them and going, they're kind of zooming out. Are we in the wild? And then you can see the city in a building, and you're, okay, we're still in the zoo, but they are really pushing the idea that the zoo is the best place for him. And sometimes you go to zoos and going, yeah, the enclosures are bigger than being in a room, and he's outside, but he's not free. But the trouble is, well, they could never release him to the free. They can't be released because they've got no skills for living in. So the way they did it, and obviously they brought them all back in, and it all ended nicely. And I just got to the end of the movie. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was a good, solid, entertaining movie. It just did what it did, and I was nice. It was just really nice and refreshing just to sit and go, that was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I probably will never watch it again, but I enjoyed it. And it was nice just to sit down, feet up, pot of ice cream, watch it, and just be like, this felt like a decent and just enjoyable. And sometimes it's been the hit ratio on the Disney Plus movies have just been all over the place, but this was such a good movie, and I really did enjoy it.
I enjoyed it in the end too. I also don't think I'm going to watch it again, but that's not a knock against the movie. Yeah. It just doesn't have the depth for a rewatch, which again sounds like I'm insulting it. I'm not. I would say absolutely watch this if you need a feel good, or you just want to do a feel good movie. And again, this is going to sound like a backhanded complaint, insult, whatever. Don't think too heavily about it, and keep the pitchforks at home. You can definitely talk about the conditions and the moral ethics of it. It's not that kind of movie. Just enjoy it for what it is.
But also, even just down to all of that, things have changed so much since the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, and how we all look at, I remember going to circuses and sitting on elephants when I was a kid, but, it was in the 80s. It was a different era. There was a time that circuses had animals, and they went from, that was just how it all, and as time's gone on, we've, things have changed. And now, even down in enclosure spaces and stuff, everything has changed over time. So it was just, I just watched this movie and I was like, the animals, it was nice not having that stereotype. It didn't feel like a stereotypical movie as well. It did feel maybe slightly original. That's probably why I enjoyed it a little bit more. Just that thing of going, it didn't feel like they were just rehashing. It wasn't a remake. It wasn't a sequel. It was just something fresh, and it was just kind of quite nice.
Yeah, and it's like you mentioned before too. They had things like where the animals get out, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to turn into Homeward Bound now," and they're going to be going through the urban jungle, and we're going to get shots of elephants walking down the street or whatever. And it's like, oh no, they got to the edge of the forest, which was maybe like 15 feet wide, and like, oh, we can't do this. And they just go right back. And like it doesn't necessarily do what you expect. Yeah, the ending is exactly what you expect, but the journey to get there, they took roads I was not expecting them to take.
Yeah, that's a really good, very easy recommendation for anyone with a Disney Plus subscription to check it out. Yeah, I mean, Disney have been promoting it. Kind of, it's that weird thing as well of going, like, did they just stop? Because we really didn't know very much about this movie. They didn't quite do a magic camp on it, but they kind of were holding back, almost along the lines of, our cinema's going to open, we're going to throw this out there, and no, we're not, and now it's going to be a Disney Plus. And like, once they decided it was a Disney Plus movie, they sort of started promoting it. But I kind of feel like, you know, it's the fact, like I said, they've been actively promoting it on shows over here in the UK. It was like, okay, they're taking this seriously enough now to do this, and just wish we'd get more of that. Of just having a bit of more faith in it, because even after last week's Magic Camp, you know, they should do that. They should put a little bit more faith in them and do a little bit more promotion to get people in. Right now, with hardly any movies out, it is good. Obviously, just kind of to finish off the episode, cinemas have started releasing stuff. I mean, I think Tenet is just coming out. New Mutants is actually out on Friday next week. It will actually be before the next episode. New Mutants will be out in some cinemas. No one will be able to find these cinemas, but they will be there. I know some people are going to see stuff. I personally will not be doing it. It does feel very much like Disney have thrown New Mutants out there to see how this is going to work. And when it all goes wrong, they can blame everybody, everybody else and then change their plans accordingly and go, well, we know when we do premium on demand. Because if Mulan and basically going to be thrown out, Mulan and New Mutants within a week, and they're going to be watching that data to work out where everything's going at this point. I think after that in September, they've got in the US, they've got the Bruce Springs. No, I'm trying to think. The Magician. I'm trying to think of it.
Copperfield.
Copperfield. They've got that one coming
Peter
out.
Copperfield. Peter Cottontail.
Yeah, I don't know. I completely.
David Copperfield.
I had a brain fart.
I had like 10 in this episode. This is not one of my star performances.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how this all works out. But yeah, New Mutants is coming to cinemas. A lot of people aren't entirely happy because obviously, like California and New York are still all shut down. If you go in the UK, you're gonna gotta wear a mask. I'm just not bothering. I'm going to do the Mulans this time. I've kind of made that decision. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up this week's show. Again, a big thank you to all of our patrons for all of your support. And also now a big thank you to everyone that joins us on our YouTube membership program and becomes all part of the What's on Disney Plus Club. Again, tomorrow I'll be doing a Q&A session. So if you are a patron or a YouTube member, make sure you get your questions in, and we'll be doing that weekly. And yeah, on from that note, thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you guys soon. Laters.